Hey, what's up, you guys? WWE Fan 0599 here again, and today we're going to be reviewing episodes 6 through 9 of Arrow. So yeah, if you have not seen these episodes, there will be spoilers ahead, so do not watch this review if you have not seen them. So let's start off with episode 6 entitled Guilty. So, yeah, what I think of this episode. I was kind of bored throughout this episode, and not that many things went down in this episode, in my opinion. Except for a few things, but we'll get into those. Yeah, I felt things were dragged in this episode. I felt they were kind of, just kind of dragged on, in my opinion, but I still enjoyed it. So, I did like that Roy had some great development in this episode, in my opinion. I did like that Roy had some great development, with the whole thing about him thinking he was the killer of Sarah. It was great. I really enjoyed seeing that from this episode. It's time to give my official grade on episode 6, and my official grade on episode 6 is a B+. So let's move on to episode 7, entitled Draw Back Your Bow. So what I think of this episode? This was a great episode, in my opinion. I think Draw Back Your Bow was a fantastic episode, in my opinion. I liked the tension between Oliver and this girl named Cupid. Well, that's not her actual name, but that's the criminal's name, basically. And I like that, I like that the scene where he's trying to, seduce her to try and, capture her, basically. Thought that was kind of cool. The action in this episode was great. The action's always great, in my opinion. My only negative with this episode, I've got to say, is got to be Thea's hiring DJs, and she gets this one guy. She gives him his paycheck, and they start kissing, and you're like, are you serious? Like, is she seriously going to go on to another guy? And it's like, really? I just felt like, why is this happening? Where am I? And what's going on, I felt you seriously had to shove that in. Yeah. I just hope they forget about it, and it looks like they are forgetting about this whole thing. I think it was only mentioned once in the Flash vs. Arrow thing. I don't know. But, so yeah, that was my only problem with this episode. Besides that, this episode was a great episode, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. So it's time for my official grade on Draw Back Your Bow, and my official grade on Draw Back Your Bow is an A. I really enjoyed this episode. This was a great episode, in my opinion. So let's move on to episode 8, entitled The Brave and the Bold. So The Brave and the Bold, I'm not going to give my full thoughts about this episode. I'm going to tell you why, because I did a whole review about this with 22 Tiger Dude himself on his channel. So he might have a link or something in the description. I don't know what, but check out that review if you guys haven't seen it. Check out both parts, part 1 and part 2, so yeah. So, I'll give you just my really quick thoughts on this episode. So what did I think of this episode? I thought it was a pretty good, this was a great episode. I loved this episode. We're back to the fantastic episodes now. This was a fantastic episode, in my opinion. I loved this episode, It is by far the second best episode of this season. It was great. By far the best thing about this episode is the chemistry between Oliver and Barry. It is great. You want to see more team-ups with these guys. It is awesome, okay? I love that about this episode. They just have so much great chemistry with each other. So, yeah. Also like the villain of this episode, Captain Boomerang. He was pretty cool, so yeah. So it's time for my official grade on The Brave and the Bold. And my official grade on The Brave and the Bold is an A+. This is a great episode. I loved this episode. So let's move on to the final episode for this review, and that is The Climb. This is the mid-season finale of Arrow, and what this episode is basically about, it's, about Oliver. He wants to now fight Ra's al Ghul because he poses himself as the killer for Sarah. But we'll get into who it actually was in a second. This was great, okay? Wow. The Climb was a fantastic episode. I mean, definitely by far the best episode of this season so far, or of the entire series. Okay, this was great. Right off the bat, we find out who finally killed Sarah, and that was Thea. Ah, what? What? It was Thea the entire time. I thought it was Ra's al Ghul. That's who I thought it was, but no, it was Thea. That was a completely curveball for me. It just, wow. Even though I have a big problem with love stories and superhero stuff, I really think it's just kind of thrown in there, in my opinion. But I did really like the scene between Oliver and Felicia. I did like that scene. He's basically telling her, I'm not coming back, I'm basically gonna die. That's what he's telling her, and I really like that scene. And of course, we gotta talk about the ending between Oliver and Ra's al Ghul. That fight scene was awesome, okay? Ra's al Ghul is awesome, but he will never be better than Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson will find you and he will kill you. Ra's al Ghul from Arrow, he will. But he was just awesome, okay? Ra's al Ghul, now I'm officially sold on Ra's al Ghul being awesome. And of course, we get the shocking ending, the biggest shocking ending of last year, in my opinion, for any show. Yes, even more than The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, any show. He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. Oliver Queen is dead. It's, wow. It's just like, that was another curveball thrown right at me, It's just like, okay, is he gonna really kill him? It's like, I was like, that was my face for the last few minutes of this episode. In complete shock of this. Complete shock of this. And it was awesome in my opinion. Yeah. Good. Bravo, guys. You did a great job. You made by far the best mid-season finale of any show in my opinion that I have seen. Definitely it was great. So I guess it's time for my official grade on episode 9. I'm not even sugarcoat. It's an A+, people. This is a fantastic episode. I mean, this is by far the best episode of this entire season. And this entire series so far. It really is. It was hit after hit after hit after hit with this episode, okay? So what did you guys think of all these episodes? Leave them in the comment section below. I'm WWE Fan 0599, and we will see you all next week, where I will be starting the weekly episode reviews. Peace.